God, there's never any news on the reboot of I Know What You Did Last Summer. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Oh shit, there is some news. What is up, all my fellow horror fans? We finally have some news regarding the I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot that is coming out this year. And this is easily one of my most anticipated horror films of this year, mainly because I Know What You Did Last Summer and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer were a couple of my favorites growing up. Honestly, they were a couple of the first horror films I ever watched. I'll always remember when the hook gets the guy, it comes down through the cabinet, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, gets him through the neck and pulls him up. I remember when I was a child and I watched that and I was like, oh my god. It scarred me for life, and now I love horror movies. What do you know about that? But I have been monitoring production for this film very closely. I've been monitoring it for quite some time now. First, I just wanted to see if they were going to bring back any of the core characters. We saw that Freddie Prinze was attached. That was really exciting. Then we finally saw that Jennifer Hewitt was going to come back and reprise her role. And so that's when I really bought into this whole thing. Obviously, it could have worked without them, and some people might say that's just so cliche and it's nostalgia bait and you just, well, you have to bring back these characters. But for me, yes, you do. The other franchise got to do it. Why can't we do it? But everything that I've heard has said that production actually went really well, and the people behind this project are really excited about it. Sometimes you don't hear much coming out of a project, and that kind of tells the tale of like, God, this thing might not be that good. But I really am excited for this. And so today, I checked Twitter and I saw that they dropped the first official poster for I Know What You Did Last Summer, and that simply is what it's called. I Know What You Did Last Summer. We are rebooting in a similar way to Halloween, in a similar way to Scream, and honestly, it has been so much time since the release of the first one, and it probably is only right that they just call it I Know What You Did Last Summer. They reboot this thing, and they bring in some fresh faces and make it modern for a modern audience that might not be familiar with those movies. But along with the poster, we actually got our first synopsis as well, and this is a little bit funny, but I do want to read through it, and then I want to get your guys' thoughts on it, as well as kind of give some of my thoughts on it. So let's read this synopsis that was released. It says, when 5 friends inadvertently cause a deadly car accident, they cover up their involvement and make a pact to keep it a secret rather than face the consequences. A year later, their past comes back to haunt them, and they're forced to confront a horrifying truth. Someone knows what they did last summer and is hell-bent on revenge. As one by one the friends are stalked by a killer, they discover this has happened before, and they turn to 2 survivors, Jennifer Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr., of the legendary Southport Massacre of 1997 for help. And obviously, if you ran somebody over and then you tried to cover it up and then a guy with a hook started, coming after you, you would go back to the 2 that have been through this before. Because it really is the type of thing that happens often. But the synopsis does provide some clarity on what we're looking at with this story here. It really does set the tone for this just to be a reboot. We are telling the same exact story. And again, when you're looking at other franchises that have done this whole reboot thing, it pretty much just is that template. You bring back the OGs, get some nostalgia for the older folks like me, and then you pump some adrenaline into this thing with some new blood and give it fresh life. And so there is a part of me that was kind of hoping that this story was gonna pass the torch in a way, but it wasn't going to just be the same story told over, and it was just going to continue the OG's characters and like the OG story. So we're gonna see where they went, what happened to them, while also kind of confronting some sort of a new evil, and eventually that gets passed to this younger generation that would take over maybe a second film. But again, instead, we're just going raincoat, hook, same old thing. But the new cast looks great. You got Madelyn, Cline, Chase Sui Wonders, Jonah Hauer-King, Tyreek Withers, and Sarah Pidgeon. It's hard to stand shoulder to shoulder with the likes of the iconic Ryan Phillippe and Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Jennifer Hewitt, and Freddie Prinze Jr. It was such an iconic cast in the 90s, and so I'm happy to see that these young people are in this movie. I hope they do a terrific job. The one thing that stood out to me in the synopsis was that they said 5 friends. 5 friends caused this accident, and for me, that just means one more body for the body count, baby. Like, the more the merrier, the more in this cast, the merrier, because I just want to see the fishermen causing chaos, big action sequences, 10 set pieces. Like, that's what I'm looking for out of this film, just for it to be bigger and better and bolder than before, you know what I mean? Because we've seen the original, we know what that one is, and now we're coming back to theaters after all this time. It's gotta be worth it, man. But with only this poster to go off of right now, I would say that I'm hooked. Come on. I don't know what I'm doing. It should be a great time, but I do want to hear from you guys. What do you think about the reboot of I Know What You Did Last Summer? Leave me your comments, leave me your thoughts down below. Leave a like on this video and subscribe if you're new here. But more than anything, my friends, keep up the good vibes, because I do know what you did last summer. I know. I saw it. We all saw it.